Christ, we're starting off on the wrong foot, guys. This is 17 minutes into a broadcast, and I'm already furious. This is why I don't like people. This is it. This is the entire reason. All right, so that is not working. Let me unplug this. Guys, I'm so close. It's good. It's good. We're going to probably get a Mixed Monday out of this, probably. If this doesn't work, if I don't get a Mixed Monday going, I'm calling Matt immediately after this, and I'm firing him. If this doesn't go, Matt's fired. So he's like begging right now, the gods of the internet, that this works. Because if it doesn't, he is so fired. He's done, bro. He's donezo. Yeah, Cole, is it working? Audio working over there? Is it good? How about this? Matt keeps his job one more week. One more week, Matt gets to keep his job. Amir, do you live anywhere near Los Angeles? Because if you do, I damn near the consistency for which you have been here, I would damn near consider it. Cole's on the other fucking side of the country. If Cole was here, he'd already have a damn job. Canada does not count. Unfortunately for you, I'm putting tariffs on Canada because your lives are better. Somebody tried to convince me to move to Canada last week, and I damn near was like, yeah, that actually is a good idea. So, all right, we are here. Mixed Monday. We're just going to pretend I just started. Here we go. Mixed Monday. So, we are dealing with John Alex Gatsby song Penthouse in Tokyo, which we made almost a year ago. And I recorded all this, which is easily decipherable for me because I did in fact record all. Look how organized. Let's just start off with seeing this. Look how organized my shit is. Labeled, hook, A, B, C. It's like I didn't get really particular. You guys can't see it, but everything is color coded. Everything is labeled. I didn't get super particular with it, but I did get pretty particular with it. When I track fast. And I usually assume I'm going to have to track fast. But you can see here, all my files are named. All of them make sense. They're in sequential order. Everything has been done proper. Even the beat is pretty well organized. Everything is labeled. If you don't label things, you make me want to kick you in the chest. Because, like, what is wrong with just label shit? Oh, my God. I can't stand. If you can open up a session right now and you have untitled or audio.101 or any of those, if you can open up a session and you see one of those things inside you, punch yourself directly in the dick for me. Because you have, at one point in time in your life, pissed me off a whole bunch. John Alex Gatsby doing his song, so he should be happy. He just joined us. If you open up one of your sessions and you have some instrument 101 or bullshit like that, oh my God, you suck so bad. And you can tell this is how this shit came to me. You can tell because they're labeled here, instrument 401, classic hat topper, shaken topper. What the fuck are those, dude? It's like, name your shit appropriately. This is a pad. They sent it to me as instrument 104, right? It's a fucking pad. Name it fucking pad. What in the holy dog shit is wrong with you that you can't take 2 seconds out of your day and name your tracks? If I had a pet peeve that was like, the one that made me want to stab somebody in the face every time I get a mix, every time I get a session from somebody that's like, geez, just name it. Why do I have to go through and listen to every single one of your tracks to figure out what's on that track? Like, what is wrong with you people? I'm saying this because I did just get a mix from somebody recently, and it was full of untitled 404s and instrument 3 104s and instrument 3 verify and all this bullshit. My God, dude, label your fucking tracks. It takes me 5 minutes to mix a song if the shit is labeled. Most of my job, whenever I get a track from somebody, most of my job is deciphering their lack of naming. And that is really, really fucking stupid. That is really, really fucking stupid. I hate it. All right. Somebody over here mentioned everything being in stereo. This is a byproduct of these people working in a DAW that only exports in stereo. I believe it was probably Ableton. Ableton only exports in stereo. That shit drives me insane. I hate that. But I don't do... A lot of people will do the fucking, like... delete half of it and make it a mono track or whatever. You don't need to do that. It's not necessary. And honestly, I'll tell you the very real truth of it. I have never actually gone through and figured out what I need to do to make a track mono without losing any of the mix elements that they had. So it's like if somebody sends you a stereo track, but it's actually a mono track, right? What if I were to delete half of this and make it a mono track again? Right? Because this is a mono track. This is, in fact, mono. I don't know what the pan depth of Ableton does in order to change this to set this volume exactly what it is. And I just don't need to solve that problem in my life. I'll just ignore it and pan it the way I want to. So let's assume that this beat is actually well put together, because I really would rather talk about vocals than I would talk about... Yeah, sure. Split to mono. That's a great question. Gemolo's band. Gemolo's band says split to mono. Yes, that is exactly what you should do. Now, whenever you do that, Gemolos, how much volume have you lost? Answer me right now. Right now. Right now. Answer me, Gemolos. How much volume have you lost whenever you split to mono? You don't know. You have no idea. Because pan depth changes on every single... Not half. It's not half. It's not half. I'm sorry, my friend. It's not half. You do not understand pan depth and volume if you think it's half. About 2 dB, depending on how they panned it. That is a good point, depending on how they panned it. However, every single thing, like if you were to go into the preferences right here, and you went to, I think, mixing is the tab we're looking for, and you find pan depth. Here we 3 dB, ruling coefficients. It's somewhere down here. Surrounds the stereo minus 3 dB. It's in one of these. There is a selectable amount of pan depth between 3 dB and 6 dB, depending on what you've selected. Pan depth changes, and you can set it to different things. So, in fact, you have absolutely no idea. You have absolutely no idea what your pan depth is or what their pan depth is. So, I just fucking leave it and I ignore it and I don't worry about it. But let's get back to what the actual point is. Beat sounds cool. Let's leave it, Yeah, it's not in global... Anyways, the point is, who gives a shit? The point is, just leave it and don't bother with it, right? So I'm not going to bother splitting into mono and then doing math and then figuring out exactly how many dB has gone down because of the pan depth and what their pan depth was and what it's all arbitrary. But what we are going to do is we're going to look at how I tracked this and go, holy shit, Greasy, what was you on? What I was on was, you can see right here, simplicity. I was on simplicity. And the reason I was on simplicity was because when we tracked this, I was not in my studio. I was on somebody else's studio. And when I'm in somebody else's studio, I do not piss around with trying to find my favorite plugins and loading all my favorite shit in and getting everything. When I'm at somebody else's studio, I just use the easiest, quickest things I can because I'm trying to be fast and I'm trying to not waste time. So because of that, what we have is a whole bunch of vocals all going out lead vox. And I don't want that. So my first step is going to be to start making some background channels, some BV channels, some harmony channels, some all sorts of shit, right? And in order to do that, all I need to do is really determine where my verses are at. These are all verses. Let's see. And something is not, oh, this is muted.
Let's get away. I know a place would love to go with you. Somewhere that magic happens. We can go right away. I'll make it happen.
Now, what I do want to do whenever I'm doing this is preserve all of the shit that I have going on, right? So anytime I change anything, I'm going to start, right? So I need a lead vocal channel for sure for the verses. I need a lead for the hooks. I need some backgrounds for the hooks. I need some backgrounds for the verses. I'm going to go ahead, create 3 duplicates of this lead vocal channel. And I'm going to start, first off, changing no input so that I can start fresh on all that shit. And then I'm going to start renaming things. This is going to become lead verse. This is going to become lead hook. This is going to become BGV verse. And this is going to become BGV hook. And now I have a bunch of things with the exact same parameters that I already had on as my lead so that I'm not changing or losing anything. The only thing that I'm going to change or lose in the process of doing this is I am going to lose how much compression, because like, for example, if I should put, like if this is the hook lead, which that's what it looks like, but it's going with all the backgrounds, the lead is getting compressed with all the backgrounds, so the compression that is on this channel is going to change. But for the most part, everything else, the amount of all the verbs, all the stuff, is all going to stay the same. And so the first thing I want to do, like Amir asked over here, I want to reroute. I'm going to reroute everything so that everything is in a clean place doing its own thing. Because the most important thing, the thing that makes the difference between your mixes and a professional who's been doing this for a long time is the customization. A lot of people, they start off, they're doing mix templates, they're doing the simplest thing, they're learning, so they're not customizing. Customizing is what makes things sound pro and sound good, right? If your vocal is just the same compression the whole way through, the same tone the whole way through, it's going to sound boring. It's going to sound simplistic and stupid. What you want is to have something that has varying depths, varying saturation, varying compression, varying effects, varying reverbs and delays and all this stuff. That's what's going to make your sound explode, right? And specifically whenever you're talking about between like a verse and a chorus, I want my chorus to get monstrous. I want my verse to stay here in your face. Your verse is whenever you're typically is whenever you're explaining. Your hook is simple. Your hook is always going to be line, repeat the line, little bit of B here, line, and then repeat the line again. We are going for like usually repetition in a hook. So our verses is where we get into, this is the story, and the story needs to have a whole different feel to it than the hook. So I'm going to start off with the verse. And I'm going to need to do a little bit of deciphering here because it looks like I've got a few pieces that are all over the place. But I think, in general, this is my verse. But let's see. Let's take all these things off real quick.
Wishing on a falling star. It just looks so different from the sun. Sometimes you need to get away. I know a place would love to go with you. Let me take ya somewhere that magic happens. Redefine love.
Cool, so I figured all of this out in just a second. It only took me this long. It looks like all the green pieces are the lead parts of this verse, which I color-coded apparently to help myself in the future. Yeah, Phil Spector would use a static template. I look like I saved myself some future problems by color coding. It looks like all of this blue stuff, these are doubles and these are effects. A lot of high pitched shit. All that's on there is this auto-tune, and I got the transpose up, and it looks like I'm doing a little formant shifting. Nothing very special. All right. The lead looks like I got some Melodyne on here. Let's see if there's anything on here. I don't see it. So let's tell this Melodyne to fuck off. We don't need it. Let's tell this Melodyne to fuck off. All right. Auto-tune EFX. Bam, that looks good. This looks like the second verse. Let's just double check.
Word every page, wishing I can be here forever. Accepting all your beauty, all your flaws, all your pain.
Great. All right. So now that I know this and I have deciphered my own stupidity, any reason why some of these are Auto-Tune Pro and some are Auto-Tune EFX? I can tell you exactly what the reason for using Auto-Tune EFX versus Pro. Auto-Tune EFX is a guaranteed very low latency, low computer effort, low memory user, low everything overall. It is super simple and super easy to use and does not have a lot of bullshit to it. That is why I have EFX on this. This is a remnant of me tracking. When I was tracking this, I wanted the simplest plugin in the world on, and probably the simplest one that they had was EFX. I don't particularly like to track with Auto-Tune Pro on because, first of all, you have to make sure that it's on low latency or else you can't use it at all. Second of all, there's too many options. I don't like having options whenever I'm tracking. I like keeping it very simple. I will option things out whenever I have the mix in front of me, but whenever I'm tracking, I want it as simple as possible. So this is what I was going for in this tracking process, was keeping it as simple as possible. Now, I will tell you, the first thing I will do whenever I start mixing things for real is I will get in here and switch them all to Auto-Tune Pro. Auto-Tune Pro does sound a little bit better, in my opinion, and it does. It's much less likely to fuck me over. Does UAD satellite handle UAD plugins well while tracking? Absolutely not. The UAD satellite does nothing to help tracking plugins. I mean, it may be a little bit, but overall it does nothing. Latency is a huge issue when tracking. Latency is probably the number one thing that derails a session, and there is nothing I hate more than an artist being like, oh, it's a little delayed. It's a little delayed. Is it a little delayed? I can't tell if it's a little delayed. And it's like, I need to have plugins that 100% are not delayed so I can be like, no, bitch, it is not. It is just you being a weirdo. All right. So first thing I am going to do, though, is exactly that. Switch these over to Auto-Tune Pro. And I'll come in here, make sure that these are good. No, none of the formant stuff on. Transpose, turn the thing back to where it was. Copy this over to here. Oh, I have it on soprano for some reason, which I don't need. We want that on an alto. Let's switch that to there. It does make a big difference. This input type here, the alto versus soprano versus low male versus bass instrument, it does make a difference how well that processes the vocal tuning. I will very often check and make sure that all the settings are what. Now, the humanize and the vibrato and the flex tune stuff, I'm usually not touching those very much unless it is a problem. But for the most part, I don't usually touch those very much. So I got the Auto-Tune Pro on. Now let's go back to the aux that this is all going through.
Wishing on a falling star. It just looks so different from this view. Sometimes you need to get away.
And right now, since I know that these are all effects and double tracks, I'm going to take these out of the lead vox because this is the lead vox. And real quick, I'm going to rename this lead verse because it makes a difference. Lead verse. There we go. That way we can see it. Now I can very clearly see this is going to my lead verse channel and I don't want it to. We'll do a new track. We'll call this verse doubles FX. Bam. There we go. Now I'm going to take this guy down here and do the exact same thing that I just did by copying those before. I'm going to copy all these over here so that I know what I got. Bam, bam, and bam. Now we're starting off with the same thing, but I'm going to mute this because I don't want it right now. I just want to deal with the lead verse.
Wishing on a falling star. It just looks so different from this view. Sometimes you need to get away. I know a place with love to go with you. Let me take ya.
All right, it sounds great. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to pop on, instead of the CLA 76, again, I track with simple plugins. That means that the CLA 76 is going to make it onto my vocal chain when I'm tracking almost every single time, because I don't need that bullshit. I just need an 1176 to do a compression. I don't need it to be the best sounding compression. I don't need it to be the best compressor in the world. I probably didn't even spend that much time digging into these things. Like the fact that the attack is all the way down like that means that I definitely didn't all slow and slow release. It means I didn't spend much time figuring this out. But regardless, I did preserve that throughout all these things when I was doing it, so fuck it. Now is exactly when I'm going to swap these out with their UAD equivalent. Bam! Throw that UAD on there. We're going to get that nice sound in 1176, because that 1176 is better sounding. I'm not a bitch. I swear to God, I'm not a bitch. I would never tell you that one is better than the other if it wasn't. This 1176, the UAD 1176, sounds better than the CLA 76. That's just facts. All right, so now that I got this on here, I'm going to match generally where we were at with that earlier compression.
Wishing on a falling star.
Sounds like...
It just looks so different from this view.
So it looks like my gain structure was all fucked up. I'm going to set this back to 0.
Wishing on a falling star. It just looks so different from this view. Sometimes you need to get away. I know a place with love to go with you. Let me take ya somewhere that magic happens. Redefining love. Oh, we can go right away. I'll make it happen.
Now, a lot of times when I'm doing vocal stuff, you're going to, in fact, most of the time you'll see when I got my EQs up, when I got the EQ going, that's pretty much what you're looking at. I am never, almost never, tweaking on these parameters, on these EQs. I find people who do that are missing the bigger picture. If I open up your fucking EQ and you got this shit, going on, oh, I'm guaranteed I'm deleting that shit. That is an instant delete. That is an instant delete EQ. There is nothing that you need to do with an EQ, almost never anyway, that you need that many fucking Qs on there, that many EQ points that you are fucking working with. I almost guarantee if you just stuck to doing this on 90% of your tracks, this on 90% of your tracks, you would probably get better results. If you are a tweaker, if you're an EQ tweaker, I'm telling you, you're wasting your fucking time. I can't stand seeing it. I hate it, and I always delete it. It never sounds good. I think a lot of times we talk about, let's talk about ranting here for a second. Fucking, what do we got going on? Where's my OBS? There we go. Let's rant for a second here about this. Resonance, right? How many times do you hear people talking about whenever they're like, oh, this is a resonant frequency. It's doing this. I need to EQ out this resonant frequency. Most of the time when you're talking about resonant frequencies, those are literally the things that help that sound cut through the mix. And you are getting rid of the thing that makes it easy to hear in the mix. I hate people who are like constantly cutting shit out and then wondering why they can't hear the sound that they're fucking chopping to shit. Your resonant frequency, that's what sounds good. That's the thing that identifies your instrument. It's like, yeah, if you solo it up, it sounds like shit. But what about in the context of the whole mix? Most of the time, that's the thing that literally makes it identifiable in the mix of 1,000 other fucking things. That's the thing you should be focusing on accentuating, not the thing you should be chopping. So when I see people do that, I usually just assume they're hacks and frauds and have no idea what they're doing. So let's put this, yes, I accentuate the resonances all the time. A lot of time I'm accentuating the resonance, not the fucking, I'm chopping out anything else. Like if you think about it in terms of like a wide spectrum of things, right? Like a kick drum, a snare drum, and then the overheads, right? If there was like the overheads, all that brightness, all that high-end shit, that's the shit that's cutting through the mix. That's the thing you're looking for. I don't understand it, man. People just don't understand sound, I guess. It's fine. Let's go. All right, here so.
Wishing on a falling star. It just looks so different from this view. Sometimes you need to get away. I know a place with love to go with you. Let me take ya somewhere that magic happens. Redefining love. Oh, we can go right away. I'll make it happen. Show you a perfect place full of temptation.
All right, so I am just dealing with this dry right now. Never sweep frequencies. No, I never sweep frequencies. I have never in my entire fucking life swept for frequencies. I just go to the frequencies that I want and I pull them out if I want them out. But I've never, this thing, oh God, my rant button's broken apparently. Matt, you suck. Anyway, when I see people do this thing, oh my God, it makes me want to punch them in the fucking face. This thing that you guys see all the time, the sweep and cut of I gotta sweep it up.
Wishing on a falling star. It just looks so different from this view.
Let's pull it up and do it this. Do you know what's interesting about this? Let's do this sweeping frequency thing real quick. Ready? Let's solo them up. Do you know what's interesting about whenever you sweep like that? Whenever you're sweeping like that, do you know what's interesting about that? Everything sounds like shit when you boost it, fucking add a narrow Q, and then fucking start rolling across. Every frequency sounds like shit. If you do the sweep and cut thing, every frequency sounds like shit. Every single fucking frequency sounds like shit, right? Don't do that shit. That's some fucking noob shit. Every frequency sounds like shit when you boost it on a narrow Q. Don't do it. Hate that shit. Anyway, let me go back to 12 dB. Fucking get good resolution too while we're at it, talking about shit. Get good resolution. Look at this. Look how fucking much work I'm doing. Yeah, whenever you fucking put your resolution at the wrong shit, you know. Here, it looks like I'm barely touching the bitch, right? I'm glad people are learning from this because I'm just over here ranting. I'm sober today. I know this is gonna come as a shock to some people, but I am like, you know, I've been going pretty hard for the last few months. But like, it's hard for me to stay focused whenever I'm sober. It's a lot easier whenever I'm like, you know, fucking. All right, so I'm glad people are actually learning because sobriety doesn't do me well. All right. So here's the process for how I process vocals. The first step is EQing out the obvious stuff, right? I don't need any low end in this bitch, for sure.
Wishing on a falling star. It's just a
And 99.99% of the time, I know someone's fucking with me asking about Pro Q4. 99% of the time, it needs here. Somewhere around this like 3 to 5K, and then above 10 shit. You guys can't see it over there because my fucking stupid face is in the way. Let me see if there we go. All right, that's much better. Oh yeah, that's much better. There we go. Oh, don't let me move it down so far. Fucking bitch. Anyway, all right, 99% of the time, this is the EQ you need. This, I could make an EQ preset and it just be this and be this 40 fucking times, and you would probably be in good place with that. This is 90% of all the EQ I do. 95%. I am high passing everything above like 100. I'm cutting out everything lightly until like 400 to 600, and then boosting around 3 to 5 and 10 and above, right? This is 90% of the EQ that I do. If you looked at almost every EQ I've ever put on anywhere, you're going to find, well, not this one's apparently, because at least I just did I just high passed all these. But if you look at most of the EQ I do, it's something to this effect. This is corrective EQ, right? This is what I'm going to do all the time. Bitch, I swear to God, you talk about my toms being 10 miles apart, I'm going to call you a fucking noob again. Don't talk about my motherfucking toms being 10 miles apart. Don't distract me. I'm not here for distractions today, goddammit. All right? The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to EQ, or I'm going to compress 3 to 5 dB max, right? We're going to find...
redefine love. Oh, we can go right away. I'll make it happen. Show you a perfect place full of temptation. No obligation, possibilities that never end. I know a place with love to go with you. Let me.
So EQ first for corrective shit. Compression comes second for corrective compression, I would call it, but it's not even really that. It's more just like, I wouldn't even call it corrective. I would call it nominal. It's what everybody is doing. There's a tiny little bit of nominal compression that needs to happen, and then everything else to me is limiting. Thoughts on people doing really surgical EQ to shape the vocal? That's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. Don't do it.